For this project, I wanted to focus on the Art Nouveau art style. I really like this style, and I have a tarot card deck in the style, and so I wanted to recreate one of the cards in that deck. I had the idea that I would recreate it using one of my characters. I chose the Page of Swords card, and I started with a red undersketch and went over that with a pencil brush to give it that sketchy effect. This particular character is a changeling named Ix, and changelings are kind of shapeshifters, and so this is their base form. Once I got the background in, I decided to also outline the letters. Getting the letters right took me a while, and I had to resize it a few times to make sure that it fit. And I think the letter that I really struggled with the most was that R. You can see me messing around with that quite a bit. And then, as I learned more about the Art Nouveau art style, I decided to add flowers to the piece that wasn't there in the original card. Art Nouveau art focuses a lot on nature and botanical decorations. The artist Eugene Grasset was particularly famous for his flower paintings, so I decided to emulate his drawings of the columbine flower. I chose the columbine flower because the meaning behind the flower relates to this particular character. The meaning behind the card I chose also represents this character, so it was overall a fun little Easter egg for me. And Art Nouveau is all about symbolism, so I wanted to incorporate that. But going back to the drawing, these flowers took me forever to sketch. I probably should have traced them, but I wanted to gain a better understanding of the style by hand recreating them. And then once those were done, I started on the color using a gouache brush. I wanted to mimic that kind of watercolor feel that I noticed in the brush and with typical Art Nouveau style. I started with the background first, and then I added the figure. Since this character is a changeling, she has a light blue skin. This was kind of hard to make right with the pale blues in the background, but I think I eventually made it work. And I had the most fun with the hair and with the dress. I loved coloring that dress, adding all of those shades of orange and kind of a coral color. And then I also changed that background just to make sure I wasn't missing anything and I was coloring everything in. And then once I was done coloring in the figure, the card had a gold lining that I managed to recreate, and I'm happy with how that turned out. And then while I go ahead and color in the flowers, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the Art Nouveau art style. Art Nouveau started out in Europe during the late 19th century, along with the arts and crafts movement, and it was a response to the growing industrialization of Europe. The style is mostly known for its flowing lines, asymmetrical balance, floral decorations, and symbolic figures. It also typically featured female figures as well. And Art Nouveau artists also like to experiment with different modern mediums, so I thought it would be fun to do this digitally instead of traditionally. And then as you can see, I'm just making sure that I shade in those flowers and following the drawing that I had gotten from Eugene Grasset. And you can watch me do that now. And then once I was done with the flowers, I decided to add a thick outline around the figure and the flowers. Part of this was to make the figure stand out more and also to emulate that Art Nouveau style, since Art Nouveau tends to have those thicker outlines. I left the background, the lighter lines though, just to make sure that the figure and the flowers stood out more. But once I had that figure outline in, the piece was finished, and I was overall very happy with how it turned out. And in a second, you will see my references. I went ahead and I cited the tarot card as well as the drawing from Eugene Grasset and where I got my Art Nouveau information. And that is all.